Hello, welcome to the course. This is Bio 161, Gaston College's Intro to Human Biology course for the spring of 2017. I'll be your instructor, Jason Moyer, and in this video we'll go over details about the online course, how it will work, where you go to find grades, where you go to find assignments, where you go to find the syllabus and the schedule, and so on. So any questions that you have about the course most likely will be covered by this video. And of course, if something is not covered in the video and you still have a question, please feel free to contact me. And we'll start off by logging into Blackboard. To get access to the course, you would log into Blackboard, just like you normally would any other online class. Now, the layout of my class that you'll see here may look a little bit different than yours, since I am the instructor. The placement of all the links is exactly the same, so this will give you a good idea of where you can go to find the details of the class that you need. When you first log in, you'll see the announcements page. So all course announcements will be listed here, and these will be listed in sequential order. So right now there's only the one welcome message listed here. Whenever I add a new message, it will be placed on top of this one. So the newer messages will be listed at the top, and the older messages will be pushed toward down the bottom. And all messages will be kept here. Also, when I post an announcement to the class like this, I will also send out an email to your Gaston College student email address. And that's the email address that the college would prefer you use to receive information from the school. So not your personal Yahoo address or Hotmail or Gmail. The school prefers you to use your student-issued email address. If you aren't sure what that is or how to access it, or both, then contact the Tech Services Department on campus. All the links that you will need will be here on the left, and we'll take these in the order that they're listed. First, we'll start with course information. Right, on this page, you have a lot of information about the class. You have the course syllabus, the course schedule, grading policy, participation policy, getting started with mastering A&P, which is what we'll talk about later, and some information about the textbook and the software that we need. So we'll take these one at a time. The very important document here is the course syllabus. In this document, you have all the information that you should need for the class. So if something isn't answered in the video, it should be covered in the syllabus or perhaps in both. So if you are not clear about something about the class, check one of these two items first, either this video again or the syllabus. All right, some basic information, the course name, some information about me, of course my name, my office phone number, and my cell phone. Most students prefer to either email me or text me. You can text at this number. It goes right to my cell phone. My email, moyer.jason@gaston.edu. My office is in the Roush building, which is on the Dallas campus, Roush 216. My various office hours, Monday morning 9 to 11 and then 12 to 1. Basically all morning Tuesday from 9 to 1. Wednesday 9 to 11 and then 12 to 1. All morning Thursday 9 to 12 and then from 9 to 11 on Friday. Basic description of the class. Even though the class is titled Intro to Human Biology, this is really a basic anatomy and physiology class. So we'll cover some basic topics such as homeostasis, cells, tissues, nutrition, the various body systems, how they're set up, how they work, learning outcomes that you'll get from this class, being able to explain and follow the steps of the scientific method, explaining the different levels of biological organization, the structural components of a cell, the processes of the body systems that we have. These are listed to give you a general idea of what will be covered throughout this course. So this is a 3-credit-hour class. Of course, there's no lab component to it. Materials that you need. The first is the textbook, Essentials of Human Anatomy and Physiology, the 11th edition by Elaine Marieb. And a critical piece of material that you need, that you absolutely have to do the class, a bit of online software called Modified Mastering A&P from Pearson Higher Education. If you do not have the software, you cannot do 95% of the assignments in the course. So we'll talk about this in greater detail here in a few minutes. All right, evaluation. This is how your grade will be calculated. We will go over 13 individual chapters in this course, and there'll be a quiz at the end of each one. So 13 chapter quizzes at 75 points each. There are study modules for each chapter at 20 points each. There's a midterm exam. There's a final exam. There's a discussion board icebreaker, which is the first assignment that is due by the end of this week. And something called the GEO project, the General Education Outcome Project. And I'll talk more about both of these here in a few minutes. So the total number of points that you can accrue for the course is 2,000 points. And the grading scale is listed here. So an A would be 1,800 points and higher. B would be 1,600 points to 1,799, and so on. Now some bullet points here. And the first one is in red for a very, very important reason. All online classes at Gaston College require an assignment within the first few days of the semester starting. And it's always called the Icebreaker. And it's usually a discussion board submission by the student. So for this class, the discussion board Icebreaker that you submit on Blackboard must be completed by this Friday, January 13th. If you fail to do this Icebreaker assignment, you are going to be removed from the course. It's something that is a requirement of all online classes. An assignment has to be done within the very first few days to show that you are still interested in that class. So if that deadline passes and you haven't done it, then you will be removed from that course. And I'll show you exactly where this assignment can be found when we go back to the Blackboard layout. Like I mentioned a second ago, we will cover 13 individual chapters, and we will cover a chapter each week. So at the end of each week, there will be your chapter quiz. Each quiz will be made available at the same time of the week, and they'll be due at the same time of each week. So the quizzes will be made available just after midnight on Fridays, so 12:01 a.m. on Friday. So basically late Thursday night / very early Friday morning. So 12:01 a.m. Friday. And it will remain open until Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. So you have all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday to take that week's chapter quiz. Once that deadline has passed, that 11:59 p.m. on Sunday night, the quiz will shut down and will go away. You won't be able to access it at all. So if you're in the middle of taking the quiz, any questions that you don't answer at that time will be marked incorrect. So make sure that you are starting these assignments well before the time that they are due. So when I say they're due by 11:59 p.m., I don't mean start it by 11:59. I mean they need to be submitted and complete by that time. So that covers the chapter quizzes. Each chapter there'll be a study module, and these are due on Friday night by 11:59 of each week. But the modules are available all semester in case you want to go back and review material for that chapter. So we may be in chapter number, say, 9 or 10, but if you wanted to go back and review the information from chapter 1 and review that study module, you can. But the assignments for each chapter are due by Friday nights of each week. So the 2 days you need to always keep in mind for this class: Friday nights are when modules are due, and Sunday nights are when chapter quizzes are due. You must complete at least one assignment each week to be considered an active participant in the class. If you go several weeks without turning in anything, then you'll be in violation of the participation policy and you will be removed from the class. And the last bullet point here, the scores for all graded assignments will be listed under My Grades on Blackboard within 24 hours of the deadline. The grading scale, and this is true for all classes in the Arts and Science Division of Gaston College, we work on a 10-point grading scale. So an A would be 90% to 100%, B 80 to 89, a C 70 to 79, and so on. All right, now we'll talk about the students' rights and responsibilities, what you have the right to expect from me as the instructor. So 1, on the first day of class, the instructor will provide students with a course syllabus that includes the course objectives, grading policies, and classroom policies, which is what we're going over now in this video. Assignments will be graded with feedback and returned in a timely manner, normally within 2 days. You will know your scores for your modules and for your quizzes and exams within 1 day, usually. I don't like to wait any longer than 24 hours to post scores. Students will regularly use the text and other course materials stated in syllabus, and the course activities will adhere to the course and college outcomes. Now, as the instructor, these are what I have the right to expect from you, the student. You will read the syllabus and ask for clarification if needed. You will submit assignments that you've completed independently and on time, and you will obtain and use all the required text for that class. All right, a student persistence and success plan. We are here to help you do your best and to succeed in the class. So if there's anything that comes up that is impeding your progress in the class, if you think the college has services that can help you, then please ask. Whether it be financial issues that preventing you from buying Modified and Mastering A&P software, or buying the textbooks, or perhaps both. So if you think there's something that the college may be able to do to help you in order to do better in the class, then you're encouraged to contact the Office of Persistence and Retention. And here's their office location, and there's their phone number. Participation policy. For a class like this, if you aren't active on a regular basis, you aren't going to do well. You just aren't. That's true for most science classes. But the college policy is you must be an active participant in 90% of the class. So if you don't take chapter quizzes or don't take exams or don't take study modules for an extended amount of time, you probably aren't going to do well in the class anyway. but I, as the instructor, have the right to remove you from the course. Makeup policies. Now, this is an online class, and you will be given the full schedule of when every assignment that we have all semester, when they'll be due. So there's no makeup opportunities at all for this class. Also, there's no extra credit for this kind of class. Course withdrawal procedure. The last day to withdraw from a class for the spring semester is April 6th, 2017. If you're on a class roster after this date, you must receive a grade, A, B, C, D, or F. If you try to withdraw after that deadline, you automatically get an F. And if you aren't sure of what you should do, whether or not you need to stick around or drop the class, then talk to me before this deadline. If you withdraw before that deadline, you'll get a W on your transcripts, but a W is a lot better than getting a D or getting an F. And a W does not impact your GPA. There's plenty of time between now and this deadline, so if this is an issue for you, then please talk to me as soon as you can. The college policy, it is your responsibility as a student to withdraw from the class. You're able to sign up for the class on your own, so you're able to withdraw from the class on your own. Student behavior, this is an online class, so a lot of this won't really be applicable for us. But any behavior that impedes the learning for other students will not be tolerated. So if I have to remove you from the course, I definitely will. Academic dishonesty, cheating will not be tolerated at all. And there are some various kinds of cheating and what they all mean. If you are caught cheating, not only will you be referred to the dean of the Arts and Science Division, you'll be most likely kicked out of the class and most likely kicked out of the school. So it really isn't worth cheating based on what could potentially happen. Electronic device statement. No cell phones or other electronic devices may be in use at the time you're taking a chapter quiz or an exam. The ADA statement, the Americans with Disability Act. If you feel that you have an accommodation for the class, please talk to one of the counselors at the counseling center. And here's their phone number here. So in order to receive any formal accommodation, you must be approved by the counselor first. The academic complaints. If you have an issue with the course or with me or both, hopefully neither, but just in case you do, there are my bosses and I contact them. The chair of the Science and Math Department, Dr. Armstrong, her office location, her phone number, her email. And then her boss, the Dean of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Woodson, her name, her office phone number, and her email. Next is our course schedule. Chapter 1, Human Body Orientation. Chapter 2, Basic Chemistry. Chapter 3, Cells and Tissues. Chapter 5, Skeletal System. We are skipping Chapter 4. Chapter 6, Muscular System. Chapter 7, Nervous System. And then we have our midterm exam. And the midterm exam will cover all the material covered up to that point. And as we get closer to that time, I will post a review for the midterm exam. And after that, we start with Chapter 9, Endocrine System. Chapter 10, be Blood. 11, Cardiovascular System. We'll skip Chapter 12, go on to 13, Respiratory System. Chapter 14, Digestive System and Body Metabolism. 15, Urinary System. And Chapter 16, Reproductive System. And then we'll have our final exam. And our final exam will cover information from the midterm on. So it does not cover the entire semester. It will only cover Chapters 9 to 16. So think of this as another midterm exam, but just happens to be at the end of the semester. All right, the final exam, go ahead and ignore this statement. It's not in the Scantron format. It will be online, like all of our other grades. The final exam will be made available on Blackboard on Friday, May the 5th at 4 p.m. And they will be due by Monday, May 8th. And the very last page of the syllabus is the signature page. So what I really encourage you to do is to go back and read through the syllabus, not just the parts that we covered here in the video, but read through it, and if you have questions, then please ask. And by signing this, you are acknowledging that you are agreeing to the conditions that are laid out in the course setup. So this is basically a contract that you are agreeing to for the class. So there are multiple ways you can handle this. You could either print this out, sign it, scan it, and email it to me, or what may be easier for most people is just to send me an email with your name, the class section, Bio 161/K6B, and say that I have read and understand and agree to abide by all the statements in the syllabus. As long as there's an official email from you to me saying the statement, then I will accept that as a signature page. Okay, so again, most questions that you have about the class most likely will be either answered in this syllabus here or in the remainder of this video. All right, so going back to here, our course schedule. This lists every single assignment that is due from now until the very end of the course. So there's absolutely no excuse to say, well, I didn't know when a certain grade was due by. Everything is listed here, and it's also listed on the Mastering A&P site, which we'll get to in a few minutes. So again, the first two assignments, the discussion board Icebreaker and the Chapter 1 study module, both of those are due by Friday, January 13th by 11:59 p.m. After that time, you will not get credit for anything submitted. And again, all the modules are due by Friday nights, and the quizzes are due by Sunday nights. The Geo project, that's something that is due by the end of the semester, and we'll cover that in more detail probably about halfway through the semester. It's something that you can't start just yet. You need to get into the class for a few months before you're able to start the material. But you'll have roughly a month, maybe a little bit more than a month, to complete the project. And it's not long. It is a requirement of an online class like this. But we'll talk more about that when I introduce the information about it, which I'll probably do in probably late March. Of course, our final exam, even though it's made available on Friday, May the 5th, it'll be due by May 8th. So going back to here, the grading policy and the participation policy, both of these are the text taken right from the syllabus, just in a more centralized area. So same thing for the participation policy. So same information right from the syllabus, just with its own link on Blackboard. And this link here, getting started with Mastering A&P, it gives you a good review on how to get started with the software. And we'll talk more about that software here in a few minutes. All right, all that's course information. Faculty information. This information is taken right off of the syllabus also. My email, my phone numbers, both my office and my cell phone, office location, office hours. And if you do need to contact me, the way I would prefer to be contacted are through either email or by text. That way there's a record of you contacting me and then me responding back to you. Lecture notes. Okay, the next two links are obviously related. Lecture notes and lecture videos. First one, lecture notes. All notes for the chapters will be listed here in smaller groups. So with this first link, chapters 1, 2, and 3, the lecture notes are already posted. And the chapter quizzes will be a mix of stuff from my notes and stuff from the study module. Now the next link, lecture videos, what I've done here is I record the lecture that I would give a normally seated class before the online students. Because I know some people can do fine just reading lecture notes on their own and understand the material, and they don't need any extra help. Others, it's more effective if they are taught like they were sitting in a lecture hall. And all those videos for each individual chapter are listed here. And these link right to my YouTube channel. So it really is up to you how you want to go over the lecture notes. If you're fine with just watching the videos, that's fine. If you're fine with just reading the lecture notes, that's fine. If you need to do both, that's fine too. So it really is whatever works best for you. Both methods are there available to you. And then the link to this video we're going over now will be posted here. We'll come back to Mastering A&P in a second. I wanted to mention the discussion board next. Like I mentioned a few times before, the first week's assignment, something that is required for online classes, is the discussion board Icebreaker. And this is where you will list that information. And all the Icebreaker is you are introducing yourself not only to me, but to other members of the class. So basically tell me your name, where you're from, reasons why you're taking the class, any concerns you may have about taking an online class like this will all go here. You'll click in here, choose Create Thread, and you would put your name here as the subject. Then all the information here. So going back to the layout for the discussion board. If you have a question about the class in general, you can post that here under General Class Questions. And odds are, if you have a question about the class, someone else most likely does too. And then the rest of the links are for individual chapters. So if you have a question about Chapter 1, you can put it here. 2, and so on. Just make sure that you are putting your question with the appropriate chapter. And if you have a question about Chapter 10, they'll list it in chapter number 5's thread. And I'll be checking the discussion board multiple times a day throughout the entire course. Now move on to the most important piece of the class that you need to understand how to use, and that's Mastering A&P. And this is a software that is required to be able to do this course. So when you click on Mastering A&P, you'll see this kind of list. And some go right to the assignments. The Pearson Etext, this is an electronic version of the textbook itself. Study area. Alright, this takes you to the study area. This gives you a way to help kind of practice the information that we've covered and to review the material. You can take reading quizzes, you can take practice quizzes. If you look at this drop-down menu here, it's broken down by individual chapters. And eText is here, some essentials here, study tools, some animations that are anatomy-based that are here. So it's a good way to help practice the material. Now before we get into what Mastering A&P is and how it works, there are some common issues that always come up with Mastering A&P, how to get access to it, what to do when you don't have access. So we'll talk about those first, then we'll come back and talk about the material itself. Alright, first of all, Mastering A&P is required for this course. Now, every study module is done through Mastering A&P. Every chapter quiz is done through Mastering A&P. Your midterm and your final are all based from Mastering A&P. So you must have an access, or you must be able to log in and use that software correctly. Because if you don't, you're not going to do well in the course. Secondly, you will need an access code to log in and to use Mastering A&P. Now, students fall into one of three categories typically when it comes to this software. One, you bought a brand new textbook from the bookstore on campus and it has the access code with it. Or you bought a new textbook from the bookstore and it doesn't have the access code. Or three, you have either rented the book or you bought the book from someplace other than our bookstore. Kindle, Amazon, so on. So we'll go over what you need to do in each of these situations. Alright, first, if you bought the new textbook from our bookstore and it has access code, then you are fine. You don't need to do anything. Just make sure that you're able to log in to Mastering A&P, but you log in from Blackboard. Do not go through the publisher's website. Log in from Blackboard, because all you need is the access code that's given to you within the book. If you don't log in from Blackboard directly, I won't see that you have completed the work. And if I don't see that you've done it, then I'm going to assume that you didn't, and you'll get a 0. Alright, second, this is the one that's the most involved. If you bought a brand new textbook from the bookstore and it doesn't have the access code, you can return it for one that does have the code, but you must have the receipt in order to exchange the books, because you cannot exchange the books without one. If you bought the book using your financial aid, your receipt can be looked up through a database, even if you don't have your paper receipt. Make sure that when you're getting the new book that it says Modified Mastering A&P. If it doesn't have the word modified in it, then you're getting something different. So you must be using Modified Mastering A&P. If you don't have the receipt, then you must buy an access code from the publisher directly. There's no way I can get around that. But if you use financial aid to buy it, your receipt can be looked up. But if you pay it out of pocket, or if you can't find a receipt, you have to purchase it from the publisher directly. And scenario number 3, you either rented the book or you bought it from somewhere else other than the Gaston College bookstore, then you must buy the access code from the publisher. And there are 2 formats you can buy it in. One comes with an electronic textbook, and one doesn't. It depends on what you want. The one that has a textbook is a little more expensive than the one that doesn't, but of course you're getting more information and more resources. Alright, so now we covered the issues that come up with Mastering A&P. Now we'll get into how it looks when you log in and what everything does. Alright, now we'll talk about what to do once you're able to get into Mastering A&P and where to find the things that you need. So when you click on here, and again, mine may look a little bit different than yours because I'm the instructor. One thing that you'll see is the course calendar. This has every assignment that you need in the class other than the discussion board Icebreaker. That Icebreaker is the only assignment that we have in the entire semester that is not based on Mastering A&P. When you look at these, you see 2 different sets of colors. The study modules are this kind of salmon pink color, and this Carolina blue color are the chapter quizzes. If you hover over each one, it tells you whether or not if it's available or not, and then when they're due by. So for example, this chapter 1 study module is due Friday, January 13th, 2017 at 11:59. But if you look over at chapter 1 quiz, it's unavailable with students. It won't be made available until the 13th, just after midnight at 12:01, and it'll be available until Sunday the 15th at 11:59 p.m. And there's something listed here. It's listed as an assignment, but it's not really an assignment. It's the Introduction to Mastering A&P. This is really a tutorial on how to get used to the feel of Mastering A&P and how the study modules will work, how quizzes will work. So it's not an assignment, it's really a tutorial. But I really encourage you to take a look at this intro assignment. All right, if you click on the assignments, you get a similar view. All the assignments that are covered from Mastering A&P will be listed here. You can either look at it in a calendar view like this, or with a list view like this. So again, you have 2 different locations on when your assignments are due. The class schedule link in Blackboard, and then here on Mastering A&P. So there's absolutely no excuse to say you didn't know when something was due by. Again, links to the Etext, which is the electronic version of the textbook, and then that link takes you here, the electronic version of the text itself. You can break down individual chapters here, but the same material that's found in the actual physical textbook, just electronically. But the majority of your time is spent here on Mastering A&P will be under the assignments link. And that brings us to the end of this introductory video. Again, some key things to remember for the course. Your first assignments are due by Friday, January 13th. Those are the discussion board Icebreaker and also the Chapter 1 study module. Those are both due before Friday night. And your Chapter 1 quiz is due by Sunday night. If you have questions about the class and it's not covered in the syllabus, or I didn't cover it that well here in the video, please feel free to email me. Email me here, moyer.jason@gaston.edu, or text me at that phone number here. Never hesitate to contact me if you do have a question about anything class related. Thank you for watching, and have a good semester.